My name is Richard, and I'm excited to share these tips with you, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. In order to get the most out of our instrument, especially when it comes to range, is to make sure that we're in good health and well hydrated. Yes, as simple as this may sound, drinking enough water will have a massive impact on how your vocal folds function and your ability to access your full range. The vocal folds, which are very small, are housed inside of your larynx, and they have to vibrate at incredible speeds to produce a variety of pitches. The slower they vibrate, the lower the note, and the faster they vibrate, the higher the note. For example, if I want to sing on this note, my folds have to vibrate at precisely 110 times per second, the same speed that the string of the piano would have to vibrate. If I want to sing the octave up, the folds have to vibrate at 220 times per second. And if I go up another octave, doubling it yet again, 440 times per second, and so on. And like any physical action, repetition generates heat and swelling. Just like the engine of a car. You have to add oil and maintain it properly, or the friction caused by the piston's movement in the cylinders becomes so great that the engine will seize. If your vocal folds aren't lubricated enough, the action of just speaking and singing will cause them to get puffy and swollen. And the more swollen they are, the harder it will be to vibrate, especially at the faster speeds that the higher notes require. So the only question is, how much water and how often? Well, since it takes about 20 minutes from the time you take your first sip of water to be distributed throughout the body and eventually be stored in the folds, you're gonna have to plan ahead and drink plenty of it to maximize your vocal health. To help you get into a good habit, try drinking 7 full glasses of water every day for 7 days. I also recommend drinking room temperature water, I know, the most boring thing in the world, just before and during your performances so you don't expand or contract the walls of your throat due to any extreme temperatures. As a singer, you are both a musician and the instrument. So the language you use in your mind to cue subconscious programs and muscular responses in your body matter. For example, if you tell yourself to hit certain notes when singing a song, what programs are you triggering in your mind and body? Think about this. When you first learned the word hit as a child, what did that mean? Something forceful, threatening, painful? The connotation or meaning of the word will cause you to drive added air pressure under the folds, tighten muscles, and create a forceful sound. And granted, there may be times that is exactly the sound you want, depending on the lyrics and the style of music that you're singing, but hitting a note should be reserved for tonal and textual purposes only. And that's because forced actions will fatigue the folds, cause your voice to crack or yodel, or perhaps miss the note entirely, all due to excessive tension that you asked for by using the wrong internal program of behaviors. So instead, try replacing the phrase hit the note in your mind with sing the note. Or if you're training, use vocalize the note. There are plenty of other trigger words that you can use, but unless you want to have an intentionally imbalanced sound, avoid using any words that imply force. Another common misfiring of behaviors takes place when singers think of a high note as being on a vertical plane. The note isn't actually up or down or high or low. We just use these words to describe a note relative to another note in its written form on a musical staff. So if a note is above another one, it's considered to have gone up, when in reality, that frequency is just vibrating faster. So if you ever catch yourself looking up to the sky, eyebrows raised up on your tippy toes, in anticipation of a high note, you need to change your thinking. To help negate the sensation of reaching up on high notes, try gazing your eyes and head downwards just a little bit towards the floor in those moments of challenge. For low notes, try the opposite approach by gazing upwards on specific notes or phrases. And obviously this is not your new choreography when you're performing the song live, going up and down. But putting this physical action into your practice and your rehearsals will help you break bad habits and rewrite new programs for singing. A high note does not equal a high volume. Yes, many songs ask for louder, stronger delivery during certain parts to achieve a greater impact that the lyrics and music are calling for, but increasing the volume should be a choice. If you feel like you have to get loud just for a note to come out, something is out of balance. Think of it this way. If you can get the sound you want on volume, let's say 7, why sing it on volumes 8, 9, and 10? Quality singing is a game of efficiency. It's no different from playing any other instrument. If you grip the drumsticks too tightly when forcing them down against the drum head to get a loud sound, you'll end up impeding on the stick's impact and stress your wrist and arms doing it. If you loosen the grip too much, the sticks just bounce off the surface and go flying out of your hand. With the voice, the right amount of air pressure and tension of the folds will give you the choices that you're looking for throughout your range. So, how do we achieve this magical balance when we sing? Let's try an experiment. Think of a song that you know really well and sing it on volume 1. The sound should be just audible, but not a whisper. We want a clear tone only. You can add in vocal textures like breathiness and vocal fries and grit later on in the real version of the song. Now, if you can get through the entire song with ease, you graduate yourself to volume 2, and then volume 3, and 4, and so on. The idea here is to discover not only the degree of options you have to sing with, but to develop a keen sense of separation between volume and pitch. Eventually, you can go back and sing the song how you want it to sound with minimal effort and maximum results. As we already discussed, the vocal folds have to vibrate at different speeds to produce different notes. But in order to get access to your full range of notes, they have to be flexible, which is why we need to properly warm up. I recommend starting with something simple, like a low volume, clear toned oo vowel, sliding up and down like this. This is a 1-octave glissando, and the idea here is just to stretch and loosen the folds, which include the vocalis muscle, the innermost layer of the folds, along with 4 other vibrating layers of tissue on top. I want you to explore your entire range with this. And if you don't have a piano or an app to work off of, you can just move up and down ooh, to random notes, but without any force. And make sure you go from register to register, meaning slide from the chest register, which is your speaking range when the folds are thick and vibrating slow, to your head voice and falsetto registers, which is when the folds are thin and they vibrate really, really fast. Accessing multiple registers in your warm-ups are so important because as you go from one to another, you're allowing the mass or thickness of the folds to change, which makes it possible for those outer layers to vibrate at all those different speeds. This is why the lower notes on the piano have strings that are really thick, and the notes that are high in the piano have much thinner strings. Our voice works the exact same way, except we can actually adjust the thickness based on our need. Now, if you're getting breaks and wobbles when doing these exercises, it's okay. You're not hurting anything. Your goal is to find and isolate these imbalances and smooth them out, but not by force, not by adjusting volume, not by changing the vowel, not by making it breathy, but by creating the appropriate amount of air pressure against the tension of the folds. Look, this can take you 100 times, 1,000 times, but that's kind of the point. We're working to develop a balanced sound. And once you're able to do it on that quiet ooh, we're going to target the dimension of range even more by opening up to an ah vowel, which opens up the space above the folds with less resistance against the air, making it more difficult. We're also going to slow the pattern down a bit and increase the overall volume, which sounds something like this. Ah. Hear that little shake, that wobble in there? That just lets me know I need to warm up more. This is going to be way more difficult to coordinate, but I want you to continue to find and spend time with these awkward moments, because that's how you're going to reduce any emotional fears associated with higher notes and release muscular tensions as you take on the very thing you've been avoiding when you sing. If you feel any tension in your throat, shoulders, or neck while you're singing, I want you to try adding a small, slow, and steady circular motion with your head as you rehearse a song or even while warming up. If you notice any unintentional movements or disruptions, or even a reversal in that circle, it suggests that you're calling upon exterior muscles to get involved. This is what the brain does. If there's any imbalance in the body, it distributes the workload and invites other muscles in to help out. For example, if you were riding a bike and started to tip over, your brain would instruct muscles to shift your torso in the opposite direction and kick out one of your legs, hopefully, to catch yourself before falling. In the case of our voice being out of balance, our brain sometimes invites the trapezius, the sternocleidoid mastoid, and the occipital region of muscles to kick in and save the day. Now, these muscles can be used for singing, of course, especially for the purpose of tone and visual expression, but we don't want to rely on them as a crutch. Otherwise, we end up compromising what we're truly capable of and just fatigue ourselves pretty quickly in the process. This small, relaxing circle gently engages all of these large exterior muscles and has a positive domino effect in neutralizing interior tension so that the small muscles that should be doing the work are coordinating correctly. I also recommend doing this in front of a mirror for visual feedback. It's amazing how many times that you think you're doing a nice smooth circle when in fact you're about to fall over in your chair. If you apply all 5 of these tips, you're going to start to notice a responsiveness throughout your vocal range pretty quick. But there's no magic wand when it comes to skill training. A lasting change in behavior to the point of being able to rely on it takes practice and it takes time. So hydrate often, change your thinking, vocalize every day, separate pitch from volume, and reduce exterior tension in your practice to develop a trusted and stress-free range of notes. And in the meantime, don't be afraid to change keys, modify melodies, and adapt the song to fit your instrument. Remember, high notes are only relative to the notes that surround it. In other words, your audience doesn't care how fast your folds can vibrate. They only care if you can make them feel something. So focus on being able to connect with your audience with whatever notes that you have available right now. And as your skills for range improve, your song choices and delivery will improve with it. And if you'd like to dive deeper into the mechanics and physiology of vocal range, along with the other 7 dimensions of singing, check out the Vocal Gym course in the link below.